Well, thank you so much for coming out this evening. My name is Mike Shepard. I'm the superintendent of the Berea City School District. And I do appreciate everybody coming out in the weather, especially if you're a parent, a snow day. Many of you may have chose to come out of the house because you were with your kids all day. So this is kind of a night out. This evening, we're going to go over a number of different things. But before we start, I really wanted to take a moment just to thank our Pride organization here at the high school. These are the students that greeted you as you came in and handed you our quality profile. We're going to hear from a few of the students a little bit later in the presentation, but right now I've asked a couple of students just to stand up and give you a little brief description of what our Pride organization is and what they do throughout the school year.
All right, hello. So my name's Tressa, and I'm a Pride executive. There are 11 of us. Obviously, only a few of us are here tonight. But pretty much Pride is an after-school organization. It's a club, and the P stands for perseverance, R stands for respect, I stands for integrity, D stands for diversity, and E stands for excellence. So pretty much we are really big in promoting diversity in the school. We do a lot of leadership activities. We do just try and get kids involved, and everybody's welcome. We're a very welcoming club.
Yeah, we are very inclusive, very involved all around. We have a different event going on, maybe 2 every single month. Some of our biggest things that we have going on are Challenge Day, and Challenge Day just happened. Basically, Challenge Day was all about, I guess addressing our differences, but also realizing that a lot of us have more in common than you thought. And it's a very touching, just event, and it was awesome. And the underclassmen got to do it, and we're praying that the seniors get to do it before spring break again, just before we leave. Also, we have Clash of Titans, which is fun, and all the classes go up against each other, and it's just like a big competition, but it's so much fun. Oh my gosh, everybody loves it. And it's just really fun to be in Pride, and I've been in Pride actually since I was in 8th grade, and being an executive was the best thing that could have happened in high school for me. It was just so much fun, but yeah.
Another thing we do is something called Immigration. This is my story. We do a little bit of research about the kids and teachers in this building, and we figure out those who are first and second generation students, and we ask them a few questions at an assembly, and the kids that attend get to kind of recognize the differences in their 2 lives as well as their teachers' lives, and maybe understand them just a little more.
Another thing we have going on is Mix It Up Day. So basically the upperclassmen get paired with the underclassmen, and it's a different kind of day where we figure out how to actually interact with each other and make friends that way. So you always have someone to look up to, and you know your classes for the next years. So I love that.
Good.
Sorry. Okay, so we'd like to thank you for the pretty blazers, by the way. We love
Very
them.
Nice.
They
Right.
make us look
Bow ties
professional.
are coming.
Really?
No.
Okay. No, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I also want to thank their advisor, Mrs. Fox, and the work that she does with the students here at the high school. They do a lot of wonderful activities for our students. So before we get started, I want to also just do a couple of things. One, I want to thank all of our district staff that's here this evening. So if you could stand for a minute. Building, district staff, teachers. And then we're going to hand out some cards, and throughout the presentation, if you have questions, you could take notes on the presentation. This will be available online, but if you have some ideas or thoughts throughout the presentation, you can write them down, and we'll try to get answer those at the end of our presentation today. So we have a few people that will be walking around handing out index cards. The other thing, while Anna hands those out, one of our board members, Corey Ferris, sent out a message today about 89 years ago, we had a bus accident in the school district over in Brook Park, and lost 9 students and 1 bus driver. It was a historical accident that had a lot of influence on transportation across the state. They actually began a study based on this horrific accident of in our community to look at new rules in regards to transporting students. And we believe there was a couple things that came out of that. One is some of the rules around crossing railroad tracks, because this bus was hit by the train. And then we also believe that maybe there was some influence on actually the color of the bus, just based on that. So I would like to just take a moment of silence to remember those students and the bus driver and the families that were affected. Thanks. All right, so this evening's presentation is going to be broken down into some information from me, talking about things that have happened across the school district. And we have an agenda that we'll be following this evening. So you won't just be hearing from me throughout the next hour. You'll be hearing from other people from the community, and some of our students and our treasurer. So we went through the welcome. One of the things we're going to talk about is our school board, district initiatives, transition recap, Linc crew, which is similar, some of the same students will be talking about what that is across this high school, and parent and family engagement, a quality profile, which you have a copy of, the state report card, 21st century learning, financial outlook, and then just a quick facility update so you know where we are with all of our new facilities. So we're going to start off, because we think it's really important that people know we are very fortunate in this community to have dedicated, very dedicated school board members. School board members that come to meetings multiple times a month, that are regular board meetings, but are fully engaged in all kinds of activities that are happening across the school district. Special events, musical performances, sports events. If we're doing something that they can attend during the day, if we're doing some staff activity, they come because they really are invested in our school district and our community, and their hearts are about what's best for kids, and we really appreciate that. January is School Board Appreciation Month, and we could not give them something that would really show our real appreciation. So thanks to Christina Caraselli, I don't know where she is, back there, and many of our staff members across the district and our students, we put together a very short video for them to see and for you to see.
Thank you, school board. Thank you, school board.
Thank you, school board, for all that you do.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you
for your dedication
to our students and to our schools. Thanks.
Thank you, school board, for all you do. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, school board, for everything you do.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you for filling our buckets.
Thank you, Board of Education, for all you have done for us. I have learned a lot at Grindstone. I didn't even know my facts when I started 4th grade. Now I am awesome at my facts.
Thank you, Board of Education. You have helped me write books at Grindstone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, school board, for all you do.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, school board, for everything you do.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, Board of Education, for all you do.
I just want to thank the Berea City School District School Board in their support this school year and for the past years as we transition to the new high school and the new middle school building, and everything looks great.
Thanks for all you do for us.
Thank you, Board of Education. We love technology. Thank you, board members.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, school board, for your passion for education.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, Board of Education. Because of your hard work, I learned how to be an artist.
Gracias por todo lo que haces para nosotros.
In inglés, thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Board of Education, for all you do.
Thank you, school board.
Thanks for everything you do. You're the best.
Thank you, Board of Education. Because of your hard work, I know how to be a responsible safety patrol member. Thank you, Board of Education. Because of you, I can do safety patrol and I can be a responsible safety patrol member. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, Board of Education.
Thank you, school board.
Thank you, Board of Education, for all that you do. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate everything you guys done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, school board, for all that you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you, board members, for all you do.
Thank you for all your support.
Thank you to our Board of Education for all the awesome, wonderful things that you do for our school district and for our students. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Board of Education, for all you do.
Thank you, school board, for all you do.
For all you do. Thank you.
So I'd like to introduce Vice President Corey Ferris, Board Member Jeff Duke, Board Member Neil Postal, Board President in the back, Anna, and what do I see? Steve, right there, Steve Dockman, Board Member. So we really do appreciate it, and I think it was a great video. Our kids say it the best, right, and our staff. They really do appreciate everything you do for us as a school district, so thank you. So a couple things, we're going to kind of lead into some of the things that the district has committed to. And these commitments are put together annually by a group that identifies specific areas that have already been put in place with our district strategic plan. That's another document that you can see if you visit our website. Well, what we do is we start to pull some of those out, because if you read that, you'll see that some of those have already been accomplished. But the board sits down and we say, okay, what are we going to be looking at for this school year? Making sure that these are things that we're going to be looking at throughout the year. Number one really deals with technology, making sure that the district has in its long-range plan, both in our professional development and also our fiscal outlook, that we're investing in technology for our students. Now that's just not getting the device in hand, because the device is one piece. We have a network that we have to make sure that we have up and running so that our students and staff can actually log in and things work. And then we also have to provide professional development across the school district for our staff so that they can see and utilize some of the most current software that may be out there for our students. The next is that we're going to foster a learning environment that supports diversity. We just talked about that. That's our students mentioned that. That's something we want to make sure that we're focusing on, and also bringing to light and celebrating some of those individual accomplishments that are happening across the school district. We're going to have one of our community members and an active member of our PTA talk a little bit about family engagement. That is something that the district is always valued, and we invite people to be in our buildings, being a part of their child's education, and if there's community members that want to reconnect or get a better understanding of what's happening within our schools, we welcome that. But this year there's a specific initiative that you'll hear about here shortly that the district is working with a group to focus in that area. Communication, we've been sending out and trying to get feedback both internally within the school district and then also outside from our parents and our community. That's the only way that we can see areas that we need to improve, is that people share with us, yes, those things that we're doing really well, and then also those areas that they feel that we need to continue to focus on. And a lot of times we have the common understandings on both of those. So the next is, one of the things that we as a school district, we have some land and some property, and we're going to share all of the things that are going on with our facilities. So part of this year's goal is to look not only on what's new that's being built, but then any other facilities that the school district has that we will have to make decisions on whether or not we need to continue to have those pieces of property, whether or not we want to partner with our communities to talk about, maybe we won't use them, but our community may take advantage of those. And then increasing the public awareness of school funding. That is, school funding as a whole is pretty complicated. We try to simplify that the best we can so that people can understand how our district is funded, where most of our money comes from, and then also how we are then spending the money. And we're pretty transparent about that. You can go on our website, you can see specifically those goals and how we're going to be looking forward with our budgeting. We have specific things that are in there regarding resources for our students, when we're going to be buying new textbooks or materials for our classroom teachers, when we're going to be investing in technology, things like school buses, maintenance of our facility. It's spelled out in a pretty lengthy document that's up there that relates to last year, but we'll soon see a new one thanks to our treasurer's office. It will go up once that's been fully completed. But it's also important for people to understand that things that are happening at the state level and the federal level affect our school district when it comes to money. This is the time where obviously we have a new governor, new administration. They also will be going through a budget process at the state. We are very invested in that process. We communicate with our legislators. We go down and meet with them. They need to have a clear understanding of what their how their decisions affect us locally here in the Berea City School District. Then we are also affected by some of the federal things that happen in regards to money that flows through the state and then comes to the school district. So we are always paying attention to things that are happening in Washington. We have a lot of people in our district that are talented and have connections in different, whether it's at the state level, even local government, and then also we communicate directly with our federal legislators. So those are the goals that we're focusing on, and we'll look at these throughout the school year. We'll kind of grade them. We'll grade actually the whole strategic plan, and it shows, again, you can see if there's a goal or a district initiative, and then we actually grade that on a percentage of whether or not that's been completed or not. So as I mentioned before, we're fortunate to have a group of people that are led by Heather Losnick, who is here this evening, that's going to spend some time talking about family engagement and what that looks like in the school district and how they're really working hard to improve that.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate having the opportunity to give everyone a status update. We actually kicked off this program in August and are very grateful to have the support of our Board of Education and superintendent and district team to be able to bring this to light in our district. So I also recognize that some of you you might not know what we're already doing. So can you hit to the next slide for me? Apologize for some of the... So this is our team that we've convened so far. And what I want to say about this is, first of all, these folks are volunteering their time. It's amazing. We've met like 2 times a month for an hour and a half each time since August. A lot of time they've given up. And, some of these folks don't even have kids in the district. They might teach in our district and they live elsewhere. And so I just wanted to say a big thank you to the work that they've put in. obviously they feel very strongly about this and helping to improve our school district. And so I just wanted to share with you who all is a part of this effort. The vision of this team is to create system-wide policies and practices that create effective partnership between school and home to improve student achievement as measured by national PTA standards for family-school partnership. And really what that means is, and it's exciting to see some of the district initiatives talk about family engagement. Our goal is to really have collaborative partnership with all the constituents who affect the school district. We're not trying to create more work for anybody. I think everyone is, stretched to the max with what they do. But I think what we can do is try to make our efforts more effective, more meaningful to student success, and more equitable and available to all of our families. So you could go to the next slide, Jason. So here are some of the things we've accomplished to date. So the school board adopted a family engagement policy. We convened the family engagement team, which you just saw. And something else interesting and great about this team is that this team represents every school in our district, every city in our district, every grade level, and it includes representatives not only from families, but also teachers, staff, and school board. So it's, we're definitely looking at this from every angle possible. We also established a parent academy. And this is something that we're piloting with this group, but I know that Anna Chapman is very interested in continuing to offer this to anyone in our district who's interested. It's basically like a 5 or 6 part learning series about our school district. So we're covering topics, and I say we, I'm not the presenter, but we're learning from the experts on all aspects. So history of the district, technology in the district, curriculum. We even had an excellent finance school funding presentation. And so our effort there is to try to teach everyone what is happening at the district so that we can all be talking the same language. We also, as a district, have every single school participating in the National PTA School of Excellence program. This is the first year that every school in our district has participated in this. And basically what this program is it's a effort for National PTA to help increase family-school partnerships across the nation. And so you participate in this program, you survey families, you take action steps to make improvements, and then you submit what you've been able to achieve, and then you win that designation, which is a really phenomenal thing for our district. So it's a lot of effort on behalf of the schools and the PTAs working in collaboration to make that happen. So with that, we were able to collect a lot of data. So we collected, as a total district, 583 survey responses. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. And then our family engagement team really looked at the aggregate responses that we were able to collect. So that's sort of what we've been able to do to date. I want to show you a little bit about the survey data. So first of all, I want to say that overall, the responses were very positive from our district, which is great news, right? So we're starting in a good place. I would say that it's very clear that there's a lot of support saying that our schools' educators and families have meaningful connections with each other, right? That's a great thing to have. Our school shows respect to all families regardless of differences like age, gender, race, and cultural background. A high number of responses said always that is true. And then on the bottom right corner, our school is a central part of the community. You can see the blue bars are the people who answered always, and those bars are very strong, and they take you upwards of, 40, 50, 60, even higher percentage points. So those are really good responses. Of course, with every survey, there's always room for improvement, right? So even with really positive responses, you're always kind of looking for those little nuggets that can tell you what you can actually do to make some improvements. So on this slide, I want to point out a couple of things. On the top left, it says our school helps families understand how they can support their child's learning. And one of the things I would point out that while the blue bars, which mean always, are very good response, I would start to show that when you get to the last two, the middle school and the high school, it makes sense, right? Those are a little bit lower scores. And I think that's all, hey, kids need to be more independent, and so the parents maybe take a step back. Maybe things get complicated, they don't exactly know what to do. So that's kind of the trend we start to see there. In the top right, our school involved parents in planning for student transitions, right? So like from elementary to middle, from middle to high. Again, maybe not as strong of scores, and lower going into the middle school and the high school, where there is a lot of transition. The bottom left, our school informs and encourages families to advocate for students at the school, local, state, or national level. Again, you see sort of lower scores, a lot of unknowns. We have no idea, does our school do that? We don't really know what that is, what that means. So maybe a little work to do in this area. And lastly, our school explains the academic standards and how the curriculum is connected to these standards. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there that devote your time to doing this, but I can stand here as a parent and say, you have to tell me that 5 times until I absorb it. So while the scores may not be as high as we would like, the blue bars, there's a lot of good, especially in the elementary levels. Then it starts to get complicated and maybe people fall off the map. So what can we do about this? If you can go to the next slide. So here are some of our priorities. And again, happy to see that a lot of these go right into the district initiatives, kind of aligned with that. I just want to call out something for each of these bullet points. So communicating effectively. We had a lot of feedback on the surveys that showed us that maybe as a district we need to look at, how can we effectively have one platform of communication. So I think people are starting to feel overwhelmed. Maybe they don't know, where do I have to look for this or that? So maybe there's something that we can look at there. Speaking up for every child. So helping families understand how they can be engaged at any grade level, right? Especially at the middle school, high school, when maybe they don't know exactly how they can do that. Supporting student success, so helping families understand what to expect and what success looks like at the different grade levels, because we don't always know, and school is different now than it was when we were in school. And welcoming all families. I think that it's really important for families to understand what are the processes and the policies and the procedures, and we need to create an environment where when they do come in the school, they feel like they're allowed to be there, they're welcome to be there, and they know how to visit the school and approach the school and when they need to come and that sort of thing. So I think just trying to encourage families to be involved and understanding how to do that. Again, overall, we want to collaborate and partner with the schools and the school district to try to tackle some of these areas. So just next steps, where we're headed over these next several months is we're going to be creating some subcommittees. We will be looking for folks who are interested in participating and sharing some of their talents and volunteering their time to try to make a difference. We'll be, trying to create action plans, doing a lot of collaborating. And And then we'll definitely keep the community updated on our progress. We do have a Facebook page if you're interested in following us, and we'll try to post updates there as well. And then lastly, just thank you. We look forward to the journey together. We expect that it'll be another couple years to get some of these initiatives off the ground, but we're excited about it. So thank you.
So this is not easy work, right? And I appreciate Heather's leadership in the group. There has always been this push for getting our families involved in the school district. And many of you, just based on the fact that you came out tonight, understand the importance of being a part of your child's education. But that being said, we just have not really reached where we want to go with this, right? We really want true engagement. And the only way you do that is with dedicated people taking the lead and looking at both positive and negatives of whether or not we're engaging people, whether or not we let people feel welcome or make people feel welcome when they come into school, whether or not we help some of our parents and community members understand how to communicate with the school district, how to communicate with your teacher, how to communicate maybe with one of the administrators or a bus driver, so that maybe that has an impact, right? So this is hard work, and we're hoping that at the end of this that there's a lot of involvement, a lot of feedback, a lot more positive than negative, but we want the feedback. Right. Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And I forgot to ask the team to stand. Can we do that
you
real
can.
Quick? Everyone who's on the family engagement team, you just stand up real quick. You all showed up, so.
Okay, so moving on. Thank you, Heather. Appreciate it. We're gonna talk about some of the things that are happening across the school district. So a couple things. One thing is the development of the structure for the teachers and the students at the middle school in particular. This was a big change for us. We transitioned from a junior high structure when we made the move of bringing our 5th grade and 6th grade students over to now a middle school. So, people say, well, how come you change the name? It was just fine, right? I drove down the Big Creek Parkway and it said Middleborough Heights Junior High, and now they have to change the sign to Middleborough Heights Berea Mid-Park Middle School. Well, it's because it's totally different environments for our students. The junior high structure would look and feel like a high school, right? It was a small high school. You'd have 48-minute periods, you go from subject to subject to subject, and we'd have a lot of traffic in the hallway. We'd have kids interacting with more adults than they probably at that age needed to be interacting with. We spent almost a year and a half doing a research study. You can reboot that if you want. Yeah. We spent almost a year and a half doing a study on what was the best learning environment and teaching environment for our students in grades 5 through 8. And it became really clear based on the research, based on experts that we had conversations with, based on focus groups. We met with every single grade level, with every single teacher in all areas that were going to be teaching in that building, and gathered information. And it was clear to us that we needed to transition from that junior high model to a middle school model. So no longer do we have 7 or 8 period a day. The kids are transitioning 48 minutes or so from class to class. We now have team structures throughout that building. So in the 5th grade, if you have a child in 5th grade, they may be on a team of 3 teachers. They may be actually on a team of 2. They're in 80-minute blocks, meaning that there's flexibility within the schedule. I always share the example. If I'm teaching with 2 of my colleagues, and one of my colleagues is a science teacher, and they want to do a lab, well, 48 minutes just doesn't work. I need to have 90 minutes, right? You couldn't do that in the old structure. Now, the 3 of us can sit down a week or 2 ahead of time, and that person can say, I need a little bit more time. We work through that because it's just the 3 of us working together with those students. That happens also in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. teams of 4, less traffic in the hallway, there are less students, student-teacher ratio is less, so relationships, true relationships, understanding and working with a smaller group of students is clearly a positive in all the research that you can find. And throughout the building that's happening, in the 5th grade right now, we don't have bells. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we have some. And if you walk into that building today, if you had the chance to see it when it was a junior high and what it is today, it's a totally different learning environment for our students. That was a commitment that the school district made, not only because we were transitioning our 5th grade and 6th grade students over, but also we knew it was what was best for kids, and it was a financial investment for the district. When you go from a junior high structure to a middle school model, it is an additional cost to the district. Probably close to $1 million in personnel. But we knew that was the best way to spend our money. We're really excited about that transition. Our teachers have opportunities throughout the day to work together. The same thing's happening at the elementaries. We have teams that are working together. They're collaborating, teacher-based teams. That's something that is still, we're working through as a school district. It is not the same everywhere, right? Some buildings are doing it some way, some buildings are doing it a little bit differently. So we're working through that, but the idea behind teacher-based teams is true collaboration about teaching and learning and about students. We talked about relocating resources. That's that making sure that we're utilizing things like technology. And that's here in the bottom. So some of our buildings in the district have all the technology that they need, right? And they have laptops, Chromebooks, screens, and other buildings don't. It's all based a little bit on federal money that comes into the school districts and where we can spend those dollars, but we're trying to balance that and repurpose some of those resources so that all of our students can have the opportunity to use those. Through our transition, we also did a little bit of adjustment with our start and end times. We had to make some changes to our transportation, and we did a lot of that ahead of time. We actually could set that up almost a year in advance, kind of look through how that was going to affect the school district with our buses in the morning, talked about technology infrastructure and the use of the technology in the classroom, and then the additional staffing. I do want to say, when it comes to our transition, we've done this, we did this before, right? We did it when we combined schools in Berea. The elementary schools went to 1. We did that when we went to the 5-6 pre-K for 5-6 building, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12. So we lived through that transition. And I can tell you, when we went through those transitions, we did not do everything right? We made mistakes along the way, and we knew what those were afterwards because people clearly let us know that. And we learned from those. And then we had conversations about, okay, now we're doing this again. How are we going to, we involve more people. I think this most recent transition went better than the previous transitions. Now, we went through some bumps along the way when we first moved into our middle school, kind of getting the feel of that, but I can just tell you, when I walked through that building today, anyone that's walked through that building, they have arrived. That environment is wonderful for kids, and there's so many positive things happening within that environment. The same thing is here. We had a high school with 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. We transitioned 9th grade into the building, close to 500 students. Yes, you can see there's more kids in the hallway, right, Mr. Seuss? But it's not overwhelming. Kids are going from class to class. They know where they're going. Took a couple weeks for maybe the younger students to, actually it wasn't just our 9th graders, because at the time we had to transitioned our 9th and 10th graders. And because of the Pride group, because of the exciting things that the staff put in place, I think our students felt welcome when they came to the high school. But again, a couple weeks as we went through that, we went through some bumps, and I think today as you walk through the high school, you can see, right, it's not overwhelming. It's a high school with 9th through 12th grade students that we've had before, and it was, I think, a successful transition. We learned from those because we know we're going to have another one at some point when we transition into some newer facilities. So one of the things I mentioned when we talk about transforming our school district and going through these changes, we needed to listen to our staff, we needed to listen to the community, but we also had to listen to our students. And our students in our high school transition took a very important leadership role. They began an organization called Linc. And it is a time commitment for our students, and is a time commitment for those staff members that are involved in that. There is very specific training. We learn from other school districts on this Linc model. And we have two wonderful students that are here this evening. They're going to take a little bit of time just to highlight some of the fun things and some of the activities and the purpose around our Linc organization here at the high school. So Summer and Maddie, if you could come on up.
Okay, I'm Maddie. I'm a senior here this year.
I'm Summer, and I'm a junior here this year. And Linc is something a group of 7 teachers started last year, and it made the transition for freshmen and the incoming sophomores a little easier than it was, and for the juniors and seniors that were already here, because I mean, maybe 1,000 kids total came to the new high school, and they overpowered the kids that were already here, and we needed to make sure that the environment stayed the same and more mature than it usually is. So we went through a Linc training, which, as the previous picture showed, was in May. We had our first one in May and 2 more consecutively in the summertime, where we gave up our time and we were taught all the new tactics we were going to use during orientation.
Can you please do the next one? Okay, so like Summer was talking about, we went through training, and the first one was in May, so they called that May Day. And it was kind of interesting because we walked in and the teachers had music going and they were dancing around, and all of us were just like, what are you doing? So then after we went through that, we realized at the 2 summer dates that they were showing us what we later on would be doing. So this is a picture from one of our summer days, and we had to play a game, and there were 3 different things you could be. And one of them, I don't remember exactly what they were, but one of them was like, it was like rock, paper, scissors on teams. So everyone picked the same thing for that, and it's just so cool. So on the May Day, we were playing games, and then we went back and we learned what we would be doing. So there's orientations that we had for the 9th and 10th graders. And on our training days in the summertime, we learned what we would be teaching them. And we went through it step by step, and we got binders, and we learned everything we had to do. And it was just really cool. And also, I met so many people I've never met before, and the friendships we made through that whole experience was amazing.
This is, on the right, I believe it's the sophomores, and on the left, the freshmen. The freshmen came in the same way we did when we came in for May training. Music was blaring out of the speakers. You could hear it from the other side of the building. We were in the gym, the newer one, and we all crowded around them. We guided them. They all got new name tags if it was like the first day of school, and they did some bleacher activities, and it was nothing supposedly academic, but academic for the mind and the ease of getting into high school for kids that have never been in that type of environment. We did some 4 activities, and then we each got our own classroom. We each have our set of 10 or 8 kids each per 2 Linc leaders. And we did some activities in the classroom that made them think, and for kids that have never met each other, they had to work together to figure out whatever problem we had thrown at them that day, and we helped them to figure out like how to work together and how it was okay to learn from new people. This is later on that day. This ran as a regular school day while everybody else had begun school. We were going to orientation with the 9th and 10th graders. We started off with all the fun stuff in the morning, and then we let the kids go. They had lunch, and they got their schedules, and we ran through what they were supposed to do, what time the bell schedules were. We sent them off to class, showed them where to go, and then we roamed the hallways until they were done. They had 8-minute classes, so they were able to meet their teachers and who was in their classes. And then the bells rang. We were standing in the hallway to help guide them to their next class, and they went through their entire schedule. As you can see, before they went through their schedule before lunch, during that time, in the middle picture where they're wearing hats and stuff, we each had to plan, as Linc leaders, a fun way for them to get a tour of the high school, just to make it a little more interesting, and maybe show them the best places to be at, where the main office was, the nurse attendance office. And later on, we ended up coming at the end. We all reconvened in the gym and just showed off our kids, and we kind of just like screamed out for each other and cheered each other on as at least the freshmen and sophomores had just gone through their first day of high school.
This is our freshman check-in connect. So we ran this day as a tap period schedule. So it was a Titans activity period, and there was extras. All the classes throughout the day had been shortened except the lunch periods, so that way there was an extra block of time at the end of the school day. That makes it easier too, because the freshmen and the sophomores, we recognize that they don't have rides home, so it's hard to do things after school with them through Linc, so we do it during the school day. So we gathered them all up in the gym, and we welcomed them the same way we always do. We did some wadaliachas and some bleacher feature activities, and then we separated, and there's 7 of us commissioners who kind of lead the Linc leader family. There's over 150 of the leaders, so that's a lot to work with. And we split up, and there were some of us in the gym, some of us in the cafeteria, and some of us, I believe, in here, I think. No, sports center. Yeah. And we made surveys that all of the freshmen took, and they were simple questions that you could answer, and it was like, are you feeling comfortable in high school, and like, are you involved in clubs, and things that they could answer, so that way we could understand what they needed help with and how we could help them. So we had them take the surveys, and then we gathered all the data, and we talked about it, and it's nice because after the orientation, we were all kind of, your family was made, so everyone knew each other, and it was comfortable to just sit in that circle and talk about how school's been going. And it was just a really nice way to talk about how they felt about being in high school now. That's just more of it. We had these posters on the wall, and we took it to them. At one of our commissioner meetings, we brought together ideas about what we thought we would like to know when we were freshmen. So this is like GPA, grades and GPA stuff. We've recognized that a lot of freshmen don't understand that their freshman year counts, and that it's hard to fix your GPAs after you tank them your freshman year. So we went and we explained that to them, and we had another poster about Infinite Campus and how that can help you, because a lot of them didn't know how that worked either. And then we had another poster that was set up with things that you could go to, because Linc's really big about social too. So it was like basketball game and the snowball that got canceled, and all this other stuff was on there that they could go and attend with their friends and have fun and get involved in the school community along with academics.
Okay, along with the freshman get-together, we had something called a cookie cram, and I think we could have had enough cookies in that cafeteria to maybe sell it and make $100. There were so many cookies that we even used them the next day, and if you were dressed up the next day, you got a cookie. But the cookie cram, which was a lot of fun on behalf of the Linc leaders, we made posters for each of the different subjects, like math, science, and then we broke those down further, and teachers that stayed after school and volunteered their time stayed after, as well as all the Linc leaders picked their best subject and stayed there to tutor any kid that wanted help. This happened maybe 2 weeks before finals, so we had the textbooks, we had the stuff, and we helped them get organized, maybe just actually know what's on their test, give them another chance to talk to their teachers, whatever it was. But we stayed after school for maybe an hour, and there was a pretty good turnout for kids that came and just studied. And even if they didn't work with us, they were able to work with their teachers or even their peers that were sitting right next to them. And we also do something called candygrams. I know we used to do that at the middle school, but it was supposed to be like, get one for your crush. It's like the best thing ever. Like, I'm so special. No, this was, I guess in middle school you were like the special one, but at the high school, every Linc leader, I think it's every other month, we get together 3 days after school. You pick the best day you could stay after, and we're provided with supplies just to make a nice little card for all of our kids and attach some candy. Maybe just like we wished them a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays wherever they wanted, and we just asked them, like, if you need anything, don't forget that I'm still here, and if you need anything, just like come to me and I can like direct you in the right direction. I think we're doing one in a few weeks for Valentine's Day also, but we just did one for Christmas, and we like to stay connected as much as we can, and it's really cool to see the progress we've come since the beginning of the year. I know I have kids that are freshmen and sophomores in my math class and the advanced upper math classes that I visit, and they're not afraid to be like, okay, well, hello in the hallway, or like come up to ask for questions. They're like, okay, there's somebody out there for me, and if I need it, I can find them.
And then this academic follow-up lesson, there were 25 Linc leaders out of the 150 that were chosen, and there's a training in February that they'll attend, and it'll be just like the May Day and orientation. The coordinators are going to go through everything that we need to know, and then we're going to get to go to freshman science classes and teach them a lesson about making choices and how important that is. And to go along with Somerset, I have a lot of underclassmen friends now, and it's just a really great program. And like they text me, and they're just like, "Thank you for being my Linc leader." It's so cute.
Pride itself did connect with Linc to put on Challenge Day this year, and it was so cool to see the kids go up there and because some of the kids that were in there were Linc leaders, because we had freshmen, well, not freshmen, they were the ones participating, but juniors and seniors there running the little small groups before we convened as a large group, and they went up there and they kind of thanked Linc as a whole group because it made their transition a whole lot easier. They got to meet their teachers ahead of time before they were thrown into the academic place that is high school, and they got to know what's going on. I guess we keep them a little bit updated, just like music groups, and you get to meet new kids that are in your music group or after school activities. It just keeps everybody extremely connected. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Great organization, great students, actively involved in making sure that our students are working together. This is a team effort, right? Running a school district and creating learning environments for what's best for our kids cannot be done by just one or two, the administration. It has to be administration, it has to be teachers, it has to be our support staff, and clearly it has to be the investment of our students. And you saw that tonight with both Pride and Linc. We're excited about that at the high school level. So you got a quality profile. I'd ask that you can also see that online on our website. As you can see, I'm trying to drive you to our website. But there's a lot of things in our quality profile that we're proud of. A lot of accomplishments, a lot of activities that our students can participate in. Please take the time to look through it. There are also some things that I wanted to highlight tonight in our quality profile that we know are important. So at the end of the day, right, these students, all of our students, we're working towards graduation. We had, in the class of 2018, 470 students. We had 97% graduation rate. Class of 2018, we're also awarded close to $3 million in scholarships. Not all of our students go on to a post-secondary education, but many of our students do. And the financial support is critical. As we all know, college is very, very expensive these days. Connected to college, but also connected to student performance as a whole. We look at data from ACT, we look at data from SAT, and then we also recognize students and look at the number of students that are National Merit Scholarships students. And as you can see, you can look through there are some areas that we continue to work on, right? And the ACT, that transition from just selected students participating in that, now that is a requirement for all of our students to participate in the ACT. So, if you know what your child's ACT was, if they've graduated, we have some students that scored extremely high, we had some students that obviously didn't, and that's what comes down to the averages. So we look at that information along with a lot of assessments that we give in every single grade level. It tells the teacher, the goal of our assessments, particularly those that are happening regularly in our school district, are really about the teacher having the opportunity to understand whether or not the student understands what's been taught, right? And then that teacher then has the ability to communicate that if it's a younger child, and even students in high school, the teacher has the ability to communicate that to the parent, right? That's where that information is best used. And it's not best used by taking all this information and then throwing that up into some state, right, rankings. It's not what testing, it's not what assessments were designed for. So I'll talk about the state report card in just a minute, and I will highlight things that we look at and areas that we have seen improvement. But the majority of assessments that happen across this school district are for the purpose of the student, the teacher, and the parent. And then we look at that to see whether or not that from a district level we can provide additional supports that are needed for our teachers and for our kids. Some other numbers that you see in that book that we're really proud of, right? The number of students that are college board advanced placement classes, AP classes here, students that are involved in Polaris. Polaris is amazing. It's a great school district provides incredible opportunities for our students, and we take advantage of those, both at the Polaris site and then also here. We have a lot of classes here that are actually Polaris staff members right here in the building. Students in College Credit Plus programs, dual credit, they're getting their high school credit at the same time they're getting college credit through Lakeland, through Tri-C, through Cleveland State, John Carroll. We have a number of Kent State, a lot of schools that are participating in that. And then we have the number of students enrolled in the National Honor Society here at the high school. State report card. So we're hoping that the state report card stays the same for a while, but at least everything you read, it appears that there's going to be probably some adjustments with our report card once again. And every time that changes, it is something that we continue to try to better understand and utilize for us as a school district. Here's some information that we learned last year. We have a 4-year graduation rate and a 5-year graduation rate. We have areas, 15 out of 25 specific subject areas that we showed improvement. We had high grades and gap closing improvements. Those are specific subgroups that we track and showed significant growth in those areas. And then 3rd grade reading guarantee, we have a high percentage of students that met that, and then we didn't have any of our students in 3rd grade retained. There are a lot of things on the state report card that I think provide us with some overall better understanding of some things that we have going on. And to really utilize the data, you need to dig deep, and that data has to be shared with people that really understand what's coming back from those assessments and how they can best communicate them to our staff. So where are we going from here as a school district? We actually have 4 things that we know that are really important, and you heard some of those this evening, and we tried to make connections. So we know school culture matters. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a school district or a business, right? Culture matters. It is important that people feel welcome, they feel valued, they feel as though their voices are being heard, they feel as though they're part of a team. School culture is critical for success, and we are focusing on that. We're trying to find, we do all kinds of different things throughout the school year in regards to just looking at school culture. Leadership matters. Now, leadership just isn't the administrators. Leadership happens at every level across this school district. We have teacher leaders, we have student leaders, we have people that are looking at things as a school district. We are people that are leading our support staff. We have support staff that are leaders, right? Leadership isn't just the title, and it can't be. There needs to be a lot of leaders in an organization and within a team. Flexible learning environments. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and we're going to show a couple of videos in our new facilities. We're transitioning the learning environments across the school district. No longer will you see traditional classrooms. You may see some, but traditional classrooms with 25, if you're lucky, 25 students, 28 students facing forward, looking at a dry erase board. We still have chalkboards in some of our classrooms here. That we know is not ideal for our kids. We have a lot of classrooms across this school district that have transformed their own learning space into flexible learning opportunities. I spent a full day at Grindstone Elementary School, and I'll tell you, I absolutely enjoyed it. It was one of the best days that I've had in a long time when it comes to really have a better understanding of what's happening in our schools. I'm doing that in all the buildings. But classrooms that have students taking ownership in their learning, going from station to station, teachers interacting, students, utilizing technology. It is not the traditional face-forward, face-the-board learning environment. So we're doing a lot of staff development. We're in what that looks like, and that'll be a challenge. That is a challenge for us. One of the things that we need to focus on from this point until we transition into our new high school and also into the new elementary, because those schools are designed for those learning environments. And then student engagement, right? We talked about that. Students have to take ownership in their learning. What does that look like? That means that students have to have their voice. They have to have their voice heard. They have to be able to provide feedback to staff, and then we have to also value that. I use an example, and this is something that we're starting to talk about and continuing to encourage it across the district. We have a high school student that's completed a project. Let's just say it's an English paper. And that student turns it in, due next Thursday. They turn in Thursday. They get it back maybe 2, 3, 4 days later, and it comes back with a C, right? All of us that went to school, many of us went in classrooms where you got the C, we were moving on to the next assignment, right? So that C went in the grade book. Done deal. We need to encourage our kids and empower our kids to say, that's not good enough. I'm not accepting that C. I want to have the ability to keep working on that paper. I want to hand that in and get a B. And then, I'm not happy with that. We need to empower our students to say, that's not good enough for me. I'm going to take that B, I'm going to hand that back in after I take advantage of the revisions and the feedback you gave me, and I'm going to get maybe an A. Students have to make that choice. We have to empower them and welcome that for all of our kids. That's how kids master. That's how they appreciate feedback. That's how they incorporate feedback into getting better. The model of a grade book with 25 grades in there for a quarter grade, old thinking. So we talk about student engagement. We're going to focus on that as we move forward. Jill's here. Jill Rose, our new treasurer. We're excited to have her here. She has about 45 minutes of a financial no, she doesn't. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. I am Jill Rowe. I'm the treasurer of the school district. I started at the school district around the beginning of September. So it's been a very interesting 4.5 months. A lot of stuff needed done quickly. The first thing, as you can see, Mike talked about our meritorious budget. It's our budget document that was completed actually today and submitted to ASBO, which is the Association of School and Business Officials International. As Mr. Gazzoni spoke last year, we're only about one of 150 school districts across the nation that completes this budget document. It's a really good read. It's kind of long, I will say that, but it shows a lot of historical data of the district and a lot of the projecting forward of the district. Where we're going, what happened, why it happened, what's going on with our taxes. And again, that document is on our website. It was submitted today. It was completed like late last week, so that was a very huge document for me to undertake and finish within my first 4 months here. But again, it is a very good document, and it shows a lot of information of the school district. The other document that has been completed and filed is our financial report, our audited financial report for last fiscal year, which would have been 2017-18. That was filed at the end of the year, right after Christmas. And we did receive the Auditor State Award with distinction for that document. And because it had no recommendations, citations, nothing major in it. So that means we are doing very good. I can't take credit for that because that was last fiscal year. And really, if the staff doesn't do everything that they're supposed to do, filling out all the forms that they're supposed to fill out, all the monotonous stuff, if my staff doesn't do what they're supposed to do, we don't get this award. And it's a great award for the school district. Other things that have happened in the district since I've been here, we are, and Mike will show some videos in a second of our facilities in our building. We've been going through that process. Again, with the economy doing better, we've invested all the proceeds of the bond issue, and we've made almost to date $2.5 million of interest on that. So that helps. All that interest money goes towards the buildings. We can use it for the facilities. Moving forward in the district, the next 6 months, we will be eagerly awaiting the state of Ohio and the governor's budget proposal. The state of Ohio releases a 2-year budget, and that will start probably around the end of February, beginning of March. And it needs to be approved by June 30th so we can start spending July 1st for the next fiscal year. We're eagerly waiting that process to see what it's going to look like, to see if maybe Berea will get some more money, maybe not, to see if they change the formula, to see how that process is going to go. It's always interesting when we're in budget season time and how that moves through the governor, then the House, then the Senate, and what happens with that process and what can the state of Ohio fund. Other than that, the district has met the 2 goals that have been set by the Board of Education and will continue in the future to meet those goals. The first goal is a balanced budget for 2 years. If you look at the 5-year forecast, which it's online right on the same page as the budget document under the treasurer's webpage, we have a positive budget, a balanced budget for the next 2 years. After that, we're going to have to look and see what's happening with enrollment trends within the district. Again, we're eagerly awaiting the budget process this spring. And the other goal that was set by the Board of Education was to have 10% of operating in cash on hand, so we can, in case something happens, we're able to weather the storm. Basically, 1 month of spending in the district is about $7.5 million. That's just 1 month of spending. So that's what we like to have on hand or more, just in case. We've had very, very good last couple years, and our cash balance is very positive right now within the district, and we're doing good. However, in the future, we're going to need to look at some things with our enrollment and with staffing levels to ensure we're where we need to be to continue the growth within the district and the cash balance. And that's all I have.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Appreciate it. Okay, I'll quickly go through these. We're really excited about the renovation to the swimming pool over at Berea Mid-Park Middle School. Please take an opportunity to go over there and look at that facility. The district, non-bond issue money, invested close to $1 million into that, just under that, into that facility. We were excited about the grand opening, new seats, completely redid the pool, filtration, HVAC, painting, lighting. It's a great facility. We have a couple things that will be final touches over the next month, maybe 2, for that facility. High school. We're into, we had our grand opening, we had different phases. You can look right out back and see what's going on, right? We got concrete block going up, we have steel going up. You can start to see we have a second floor. They have big sheets of concrete that are being laid down with the crane. A lot of work's going on. Most of the site work is completed and things are coming out of the ground. We're excited about the completion of this facility in 2020, and then we're going to spend a lot of time looking at the history of this school. This is a wonderful school, and look to see what things can be incorporated into the brand new high school. So the elementary school, same thing. You can see a huge gymnasium that's put up across the street from Brook Park Memorial. We had to take down Ford, then put up then begin the construction over at the elementary school. And the site work is completed there. They have begun actually putting up steel. We're continuing to keep that auditorium. One of the neat things that's happening over there, we have students from Brook Park Memorial that are spending a lot of time with the construction company, better understanding what it really takes to build a school. The construction company come over and meet with our kids, and then they also put videos together, and that's part of their morning announcements, so they understand what it means to do the excavating, what it means to put in, your water lines and your sewer lines. Some of our classrooms actually have these tubs. I was over there with one group, and they had these big tubs of paper that was supposed to be dirt, and they had different tubes that they could use for water lines, and they were trying to better understand, why you had to put water lines down so deep, or why do you have to have footers? What happens once you put in the footers? And they can start to see that happening right across the street. We're not taking the kids over there yet, right? Because it's just a lot of mud these days. But they'll be involved in that project, and we're excited about that as well. And that opens up. Right now, that completion date's been moved back a little bit just based on the weather. We're watching that when we can get the transition our students into that building. We have 2 videos and then questions. Don't fall asleep. we're excited about the new facilities. There's a lot of work going on, and as I said before, we're anxious to be able to transition into those buildings. So here are a couple of questions that people have asked this evening. The first one is, how closely related to the passing of the school levy was our ability to build new and improve existing school facilities? So if I understand this properly, we passed a bond issue. Took us a little bit of time to actually get the money in the bank because there's a little bit of work that has to be done with our attorneys and actually going and getting the rating for the school district, and then actually selling the bonds, and then actually getting the money in our bank accounts. But during that time, we were doing some work in regards to some of the renovations that were happening. Renovations that were going on at Big Creek Elementary, windows, doors, complete HVAC system. That happened soon after the district actually got money in the bank. We began the renovations over at the middle school. If you haven't been over there, that was a significant project that connected two schools, an old elementary school, Middlebrook, to the existing facility, added additional classrooms, 4 classrooms, and then we also did windows and doors and complete HVAC of that building. So not soon after the bond issue passed, we were actually turning around and investing those dollars into our facility. We were at the same time planning and going through the planning process for our new schools. So I hope I answered that properly. What's the reason for the difference between the ACT and the SAT? And if you noticed on top, it talks about where we stand in the average, below average on the state when it comes to the ACT, and above average in the SAT. Completely different test. Many of our students that are taking SATs are looking at schools, colleges outside of the state of Ohio that require the SATs, and typically those are students that are performing at a higher level. Then remember the ACT, all of our students had to participate in that. In the past, not all students did. So not everybody took the SAT. How can there be 98.7 reading guarantee? What happened to the other 1.3 basically, right? That's the state test, the performance in the state test. When it comes to students that may not have met that mark, the district has the ability to actually have our students take additional assessments that are approved by the state. So they may not have passed that, but they passed the other NWA MAP assessments that at a certain level that they could not have to be retained in 3rd grade. Okay, who was invited to the Parent Academy?
Right now, it's just a pilot with the people that are on the family engagement team, so that we can provide feedback and then open it up.
Okay, so Parent Academy is right now kind of in a trial through our family engagement team. So I'll just tell you, like, I was invited to one of the sessions to talk about the school district and the history of the school district. Our treasurer went and talked about the money. Curriculum is going to be attending to talk about things that are happening in the school district in relationship to our academic affairs and curriculum and resources for our kids. Once that's all been ironed out, then it will be then presented as a Parent Academy and probably open up to a larger group. What is being done? The lack of discipline in the middle school. Crowded hallways, bullying, disrespect, students fighting. Many families are looking at having their child not there and moving into other schools. I can just tell you that the middle school, I said before, you got to go and experience it. Junior high to a middle school, significant transition. There is a school culture that's developing at the middle school. They are handling misbehavior. Things, when kids make poor choices, we just don't turn away from them. Part of making poor choices is just also not about punishing, right? These are students that are in age that need to learn from mistakes. We all did. So when mistakes are made, we also take that as a teachable moment, and in other circumstances, we take that, and obviously, if they've done something, there needs to be some consequences to the behavior. So if you have any further questions about that, I'd be happy to talk about that, along with maybe Mr. DeSenza.
Can I say something to that? Because Mr. DeSenza and the PTA are working to create a couple of parent engagement nights. So just a little shameless plug.
Great, I appreciate that. It is important, right? We're not closing our eyes to things that are happening in the school district when it comes to how our kids act, and whether it's at the middle school, at the elementary school, at the high school, we are trying to engage our parents in that process. It has to be a team, as I talked about before. It's a team effort, and so we're working through that in all of our buildings. Will any of the $2.5 million carried into the interest, which you mentioned, be used for some of the renovations over at Big Creek, needs of sinks in the hallways, and then upgrades to the bathrooms, because Big Creek Elementary School got renovations, but there's additional renovations that need to occur in that building. I can tell you in regards to the sinks at the school, we've already looked at that. That probably won't be out of our $2.5 million interest. We also have permanent improvement money that the district has. Part of our budget spells out a number of things that still are on our plate for improvements. Oh, will the district be hiring more BCBA personnel? BCBA is behavior specialists, right? And the district has hired behavior specialists that work with our students that need some additional support, and that is something that I am sure, will look at when it comes to our staffing process this year and into the future. It is not necessarily a new role in school districts, but I would say relatively new in school districts, where these individuals are specifically trained to help support staff within the building to work with students that may have some difficulty with making choices. That's it. So, I didn't hand yours in, man. Come on, what the heck? I know you ask that all the time. Now that I see the 25-year-old sports center is 50 feet close? I don't know, close to the new high school. It's so close to the new high school. Is there any possibility it can be saved for all it could offer? Probably not at this point, since we're under construction, and that actually is part of a bigger site plan. That space is part of a bigger site plan. You know, as you know, but others, we do have in the new facility a competition gym, and also additional auxiliary gyms that will be similar to what's here in the sports center. In the new facility. Okay. Any other questions? I appreciate everybody coming this evening.
And this is the dates. The academic week is going to be August of 20 or 21?
August of 2020 is the academic wings for the high school, and then in November of 2020, the sports center and all the rest of that stuff will be completed. I appreciate you coming out. Any questions that you have, do not hesitate to call me, email me, and I will find the answers for you. Thanks again. Have a good evening.